Hi, I'm Varyn.
And I'm Kroot.
This is a new series we're calling Demo Me This, in which two friends find games that they love and introduce them to each other. The two of us are going to switch off playing games that we already know and love for the other person. We're a pair of game design nerds, just to introduce us a little bit. So we'll be looking pretty intensively at the design aspects of games like these. Now, both of us are fans of Brendan Chung's Blendo games. I've actually played all of the original Citizen Able. I believe they were Quick 2 mods, as well as 30 Flights of Loving, Gravity Bone, and Flotilla, which isn't actually technically related to the series, and Atom Zombie Smasher, which is. But Kroot has actually not played Gravity Bone, so I thought for a first episode, I would show him Gravity Bone.
Yeah. And to clarify it a bit, I do like Brandon Chung's games. They do seem very interesting, but I've only ever actually played 30 Flights of Loving. And I remember doing it on the showroom forum at GDC.
Yeah, you've actually met him, huh?
Yeah, I did. And I met him, and I thought he was like, oh yeah, he seems like a nice guy. But like the guy who was next to me, the guy I was there with, was like, I was really into him. I thought he was like amazing, and I was like, oh really? And so then I sat down, I played through all 30 Flights of Loving, and I was like, damn, that was good.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, it doesn't make sense the first time you play it, which is definitely the best part. I just noticed something too. The Flansburgh here, probably referring to John Flansburgh of They Might Be Giants, huh? Anyway, I'm gonna hop right in to Gravity Bone, and just get us started. And I love the intro screen. Now, of course, the first thing everybody notices is the fact that you start in this crazy elevator with this amazing, I almost want to say like Art Deco, Cubist art style for the entire
pretty
game.
sure it is Art Deco.
That would make sense. And, you're kind of at this masquerade party, and that everybody's, the waiters are walking around in their suits and ties with the fancy drinks, and that everyone else is in the masks, sort of talking to each other in that wonderful wah 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 tone.
And I think what's even more interesting is that they all look like they're slightly they all look not very happy. Like
totally disappointed. It's the half-lidded eyes, all of them, and that you can sort of walk around this environment and nobody really pays attention to you. Nobody, you can phase right through these guys. You can walk past everybody else, sort of look at the textures, not get much of a view. You'll notice that you're like in this mountain resort with I love the skybox here, as well as the crazy planes all flying around in, as far as I can tell, randomly generated directions.
Yeah, no. What I find really interesting is that you have a spectacular like area that you're in. Like these are crazy vistas, and no one seems to give a shit.
Yeah, it's like a really high-end party because everyone looks really bored, and that's how you can tell you're very haute couture. Is that everyone just looks totally disinterested in being there. But then, of course, you see that you're holding a business card. Teletran 7, Private Contracting Service, The Saturday Club, Business Initiative, Wet Work. Go to the furnace room. So the first step...
I kind of like that as a way to get you to go somewhere. What I noticed when I played the 30 Flights of Loving is that they'd have to be like, okay, go this way. But a lot of times the path comes off kind of linear. But it's nice to be like, okay, now you have to go here, and it kind of gives this secrecy thing. Yeah. Wait, was this?
This is the furnace room. It says go to the furnace room, so you can find this plaque. You actually have to slide past this door as one of these guys comes inside to pick up more drinks.
I didn't know.
And then you see this placard, which, I mean, I missed it actually the first time because it looks so much like a game environment, just sort of a great environmental piece. And then I saw this one and said, and then it teaches you how to do a little bit of platforming. So you actually have to sneak behind the furnace, and you find a briefcase. So listen.
I hope there's money in there. Oh, there.
So it actually speaks to you.
That's really creative. And then you have to put on the outfit.
Obviously. Yep, you pop on the waiter garb, which you can't see. It has no effect other than that you grab it, and then it's totally meaningful. And you pick up this drink.
What's going on? You said that Brendan Chung's a big movie buff, and I can tell. You have a very classic, like, cinematic aesthetic coming out of this.
Well, and it feels so like James Bond, Secret Service style.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
as well as being this like beautiful vista and this. I mean, it's a cinematic shot. It's a cinematic thing to look at, as well as the planes going by and this mysterious gentleman with the red hair, and you can slide past his security guard, and you hand him the drink.
Well, that's not ending well.
And that's all you've been told to do. That's what you're here to do.
Find the exit. Oh man, that's just having the objectives just like pop up in these very interesting and creative ways is really cool.
I mean, yeah, because they don't want you to have to waste your time figuring out where to go and what to do. And you know, exit zone. You just press the button and you're done. So listen.
Yeah, no, it's nice to have those little details there.
Placed into the lined glass was successfully delivered to the target individual. With persistence and ingenuity, we can detect the Manitoba beast bugs, puny gases, and track the target individual across the galaxy. Our clients are pleased.
I think that... Okay, so the cutscene failed to play. I will try to edit that in later.
Ah.
It's supposed to have actual images there. But then it pops you right on into the second level.
Yeah, no, the cutscenes from 30 Flights of Loving were part of the really interesting part. Man,
Yeah. I will edit
just...
that in later. Sorry, viewers. That's a bummer that it didn't show up. I will check in to see why that happened.
Yeah. It's... And now I'm seeing this again. Now it's become a real pattern. Go to the furnace room again.
Go to the furnace room. And it's just, you know, right here. It just says furnace room.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
Every platformer's nightmare.
It's got more... This is a very different kind of... got a much more dangerous feel to it. I think it's getting more intense.
So you find Freon gas and a ball peen hammer. And all you're shown is that there's a lock on the door, so you can actually find out that you can freeze it with a Freon and smash it with the hammer.
Nice. Then you
And that's the only way to progress.
Again, it's really doing a lot of work to reinforce this kind of aesthetic.
But the game is so based around teaching through these crazy means, like forcing you to break through a door with Freon and a hammer, and giving you the barest instruction, like, go find the furnace room. You have to figure out that you have to sneak past those, the waiters. And
Yeah.
so now we've got our
it
Freon
does-
gas, we have the ball peen hammer, and we have a camera.
It does a lot, and like when you do have a challenge in front of you, it definitely has like it's the kind of challenge like a secret spy or a secret agent would do. That's the same kind of feel like I got from 30 Flights of Loving, where I guess spoiler alert, that you're like some international super thief or something.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go.
Wonder.
And I must say that I'm very glad that he did not force us to use hammer-based combat at any point.
Oh, that would have been bad.
That would have been funny, but definitely would have detracted from the experience, artistically speaking.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, not having combat, especially, like, game perspective, this isn't a fighting game. This is a game where you attack wrestlers or something.
And while I would agree, this is unfortunately a platforming segment. This is actually one of my least favorite parts of the game. You have to leap off here. Alright, let's reload. Whoa!
Oh.
Excuse me for a moment. Reload our autosave there.
That was a little...
Yeah, I'm not totally sure what just occurred there. We're going to save the game real quick, because that is irritating.
Yep. Get across.
I forget. I believe you can just jump that. Apparently not, though.
I don't think you can. I don't know. Maybe if you can, part of the problem with it is that it's got the mirror's edge issue of you can't look down while also running.
Don't actually know where your feet are, yeah. No, this is the way that you get across here. You hop that gap. I'm sure of that.
So,
I mean, this is the issue that I have with this game, is that all of a sudden you have this weird, out-of-place platforming moment. There we go, I made it that time.
almost there.
Luckily, your feet are bigger than you expect. You sort of can just hit it and cling onto it, but I tend to overshoot it like that, so... Oh, maybe I will overwalk it now. So that's the problem I have with this game, is that suddenly there's a platforming moment, and if you forget to save, it's almost impossible to come back from. But, there we go.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you are definitely gonna...
Yep. And then there are these little difficult bits.
So, yeah, nice.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's... I would have to say from, like, mechanical, that's almost kind of out of place. I mean, it makes sense in the narrative that you're going to be doing, like, super spy stuff, like, jumping around and sneaking around in places, but just, like, the mechanicals and the difficulty of it makes it feel a little out of place.
Well, yeah, I've actually showed this game to other people and let them play it, and they've said there's no way I have to do that. That doesn't make any sense. It's out of place in the narrative. It's too difficult. It's weird and a little bit, you know, it feels disjointed. It stops me from being able to progress. It breaks the flow of the game, I guess you'd call it, and makes it really difficult to, like, keep going. It's very strange. I need to go this way. And here we are back in our furnace room.
Oh. Oh, no.
So this is the platforming segment that I actually really like in this game, is you get to chase her across these ridiculous set pieces. In this case, you need to wait for the train. Technically you can sprint it, but I prefer to wait for the train.
Yeah, no, this... Well, I mean, other like, the fact that you're waiting is kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think this one actually the train is triggered as a scripted event, and so you can't...
Ah, I see. Yeah, no, it's got this nice feeling of,
urgency.
Yeah, it's got the urgency, and then it makes a lot more sense as, like, a platforming segment, is that you're gonna chase after this person.
Uh-huh.
Who's
Instead of
shot
just,
you.
oh, you're a super spy, so that means you run after her. Oh, well, you're a super spy, so therefore jump onto some flagpoles. It's very strange, very disjointed. And so now you get to run along after her and feel like you're really getting some, like, super spy chasing in while you're not.
Oh!
And it's not as taxing as the other part, even though you feel like you need to move faster, because she actually just stops and waits periodically. She waits for you to catch up for the scripted part.
Although that, the one where she was, like, waiting behind the train. Up.
Remember both of these characters, both the woman with the red streak of hair and the brown-haired woman at the end there. Both of those actually show up again in 30 Flights of Loving. Yeah, it's actually it's a really important, I guess, crossover. And I've always wondered, like, okay, so what is the game actually about? What does it mean that these characters show up? So who am I playing as? what's the connecting storyline here? And I feel like there's almost nothing other than 30 Flights of Loving is about Subterfuge, as is Gravity Bone.
I think, well, 30 Flights of Loving, I don't know. I guess I'd be just making guesswork, and I only played this game once. But the feeling I got from it is that they were pulling off a heist of some kind.
Absolutely.
And it went really wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's sort of the indicated feeling when you fall down the hole and there's Miguel bleeding and there's the woman holding the gun. And it's such a beautiful and iconic image, but at the same time, it's so jarring and out of place. Because you're like, I should have done it right. I'm a better thief than this.
Yeah. And for this one has even more of that, like, I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It seems like you're like a super spy and that you're following some orders, but then someone steals them from you. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the only angle I got in on that.
It totally feels like some shadow organization is ordering you around. But with the context that is 30 Flights of Loving, I would say it's like a government job. It's something that you're employed to do by a, well, not a reputable government, but, you know, your home government, and you're doing it for patriotism instead of just black ops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. Yeah, it definitely seems more like you're doing this as kind of like a regimented thing you need to do, or like it's kind of like a job, because again, it reinforces that with like you're given orders from a briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has that kind of like regimented. It must be there's this like ordered structure to it. And in addition to that, there's the you know, what you're doing doesn't seem to be particular of note. It's very subtle as well.
It's completely opaque. You have no idea why you're photographing exploding birds or handing a man a glass. And you can actually see the bug. If you go back and watch the footage, you can actually see the bug inside the wine glass. And all we're told is that the Manitoba beast bug is allowing us to track this man via fumy gases, which is such a strange, not only is that a strange like plot line, but clearly it's furthering someone else's ends, and it doesn't follow logically from feeding a man a wine glass. So much of the game is about sort of hidden agendas and questionable government motives and super secret spy stuff, which is why I love the ending. It's this sense of like your job is getting interrupted, this system that you've already established in the first level. And that's why I love Brendan Chung as a game designer, is because this is brilliant the way that he teaches us in the first level. You go, you press the red button, and you're done. You've finished this area. But in the second level, you get shot when you press the button. I actually go up to you hit the button, it goes, and then you take a bullet, and then there's this chase segment after it that feels like this, you know, this interruption of routine. But this woman who you noticed before, she's there, but she doesn't play in until you hit that end segment, and then you hit 30 Flights of Loving, where she actually shows up. I believe she shows up at the party.
I guess I'd have to play 30 Flights of Loving to remember where the hell she shows up again.
Mm-hmm. I really love the sense of continuity there.
Yeah, no, I again, it's been a very long time since I played 30 Flights of Loving. But yeah, it does have that same feel. It feels like it's in the same universe, and it fits. And I definitely like how I don't know about the earlier games, but I like how these two games they both have the same kind of vibe to them. Like, yeah,
the
one
earlier
of them
games, interestingly enough, are actually shooters in the style of Quake, and you sort of get a little text blurb, and then you sprint on, and there are more explosions, and you get more weapons, and you're like shooting the generic grunts from Quake, and you're not really getting much in story. And these ones they're not built in their own engine. They're still built in the Quake engine, but it's totally different. They're not mod levels. They're actually their own games. And so this is so much more of a focused experience because of that.
I see. Yeah, no, it definitely has a lot more of it has this like, they both have this like a feeling of like tiptoeing around, like you said, subterfuge way earlier. And I would agree with that, is that they both have that very strong subterfuge theme of this kind of like, we're trying to like tiptoeing around and trying to like do things without people noticing or get away with something illegal or something that would be questionable.
Yep, but at the
Um,
same time, it's such an experiential game. It's such an art game, right? Much like 30
yeah,
Flights of Loving. There's not actually much that you can do to, like, fail the game. You can get run over by the train. You can fall off during the first platforming segment, which is why part of why I find it so strange that it happens there.
yeah,
And you can get, like, crushed in the furnace rooms, and that's it.
yeah. I think this game is, to be honest, this game is well, first of all, it's not a procedural game, which comes off
Hmm.
really obviously. But I mean, it's obviously like that, like a lot of other games are. But I mean this in more of the kind of the gameplay experience sense. Like it's it's an exploration game purely, and it's very much so about like following this one narrative as it goes through here. Although the narrative is a bit weird and it jumps around and you know and you're not sure what's going on, you're trying to piece it together. That's it is just one narrative. It's just following your path through this one
Yeah,
person's
but that
life.
linearity, that level of focus, is totally a draw for the game. When people tell me that they prefer open world games, I point them to this because it is so iconic and capable of giving like a really focused, really deliberate story through minimal interaction and sort of, I guess, almost no dialogue, nothing other than a little bit of a runabout, and it asks some really good questions.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. It very much so got me to start asking what the hell's going on. But I think more than that, it kind of I don't know. It's definitely a mystery of the characters, and um, a mystery of just what is going on and what does that mean in context.
But the fact that those characters exist in the context of the game is a triumph on its own.
Yeah, it's a triumph that you're like still like that. Even when I played through 30 Flights of Loving and when I watched through this game, all the characters felt, they had this like, you know, I know who you are, but at the same time, I don't really know who you are. I'm not entirely certain about you. And so it's very good at giving you character, but then leaving a kind of mystery behind them.
But the fact that you still have a sense of character is such a triumph for there being, the little trumpet cue vocals and no real dialogue other than the pop open suitcases, the briefcases that say,
Yeah,
deliver
then
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
and even the suitcase, the suitcase woman has a character of her own that it sets them all apart and it makes them all interesting. And you know, and I guess like and it
And
does both.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You get to know who she is because she takes a second to smoke over your prostrate body before she steals your camera and runs away, crashes through the window and runs through a dinner party, and then eventually hides around a corner and shoots you off of a ledge.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of telling character moments. And I remember again, she also took a cigarette smoke, in the train running sequence where she was waiting for the train to pass as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, uh, that was a good experience. Interesting
So,
game, and very much so like the other one I played.
yep, I personally like it a lot. What do you think? Like it? Hate it?
Um, I like it actually. I find it really interesting, and I find I make it makes me want to play 30 Flights of Loving again, just so I like remember and be like, oh, that's what happened. And those people, I remember those people.
And that's always a good feeling. All right, thanks for watching Demo Me This. See you next time.